Yes, we are live.
Perfect. Okay. Well, first off, I just want to say hello and welcome to our very first event. Thank you so much to everyone that is joining us here in person at Convergence, as well as everyone that's joining us on YouTube and I believe maybe Twitch? Definitely YouTube though. So throughout the event today, we're going to have some wonderful speakers talking to you about how to get into tech and advance your career. And they've all got some wonderful advice for you, I know, because I already looked at all their talks. And we're also going to be checking through the YouTube comments as well as people in here for Q&A sessions. My name's Jackie Gunrod. I'm going to be your MC for tonight, and I'm a senior developer advocate at AWS. So I'll be here just making sure you're having a good time along with all of our speakers and that they get to really shine. And I think with that, I'm going to welcome our host up tonight, YK, to give a couple opening words. And yeah, ready to kick us off?
Sure. How's everyone doing? So whenever we do this type of event, I like to ask a couple questions to get to know you. So let's see, how people feel about that. But did everyone have the chance to get the food? Yes, perfect. I hope you enjoyed it. We're gonna do sponsor shout outs in a minute. But before that, first of all, who here is a student? Couple of students, boot camp, university, what type of students? I'm curious. Computer science. Or maybe you want to stay quiet. That's cool too. Who here is a software engineer? Nice. PM, product manager, project managers, a couple. UI, UX designers. Nice. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here again. We started this series of meetups earlier this year, and I remember the first one I did, it was about 10 people. Some of you are here. We grew quite a bit since then. We took a little break, but since then we started up again. We did a couple of coffee chats, networking sessions, more of informative sessions. And this is the first conference that we're organizing.
Very exciting.
And the theme of this event, like Jackie alluded to, is bringing your career in tech to the next level. So that means whether it's getting into tech or bringing your level to the next level wherever you are. That's what we're trying to do here. So should we do sponsor shoutouts?
Yeah, I think we should. It's always fun to make sure we get people up here who actually helped make this event happen. So who do we have coming up for first sponsor shoutout?
I think we have Matthew here.
Classic. Here, I'll give you this one.
All right, perfect. All right, I don't have much to say. My name is Matthew Hauser. I'm the CEO and co-founder of this company, Convergence. Couple ground rules, I guess, before we get started. If you need to use the washroom, exit through that door, which is propped open by a box. Then you can come back in without ringing the doorbell. Beers are in the freezer, coffee's in the machine. Make a tea if you want. Apart from that, enjoy the event. A bit about Convergence. We are a full-stack software engineering company. We work for the government and private sector companies. We have an AI spin-off called Giant Leap AI. We're raising funds for that in the US right now. We're going to spin that off separately. We have a UI UX company called Pixel Ramen, pixelramen.com. Yes, ramen like the food. And the three collective companies together are part of a group. We work for clients. That's about it. Reach out to me if you're interested in careers, connections, or have projects in mind. Thank you.
And who is our second sponsor coming up?
Where's Spiro?
Oh, here.
Perfect.
I almost
So-
forgot I'm a sponsor.
Now you just get to do the fun walk up through the middle. Here, I'll give you this microphone.
There we go. How is everyone?
Great.
Woo! How is everyone? Woo! There we go. Okay, so nobody really knows me. That's fine. Pretty low key. I work kind of behind the scenes on a lot of stuff. How many people know the Primogen? How many people know Tej? Yeah, I've heard all about you. How many people know Tej? Dev, yeah. How many people know Theo? Yeah. Okay. So I help them sometimes. You may have seen content from them that I may have slipped in secretly. I just started streaming yesterday myself. I do a lot of HTMX shilling on Twitter. Who knows what HTMX is? It's the best framework out there. I'm going to make sure everybody knows about HTMX by the time I'm done in Primogen. You're going to be proud of me. Okay. So I sponsored the event because YK is doing some cool stuff. Thank you, YK. Where's Nita? Nita, there you are. Okay. Thank you to Nita, and thank you to Jackie as well, and everybody else who I don't know, who helped the event, including our hosts. So, how many people have heard about the recent Twitter drama with like the whole catfishing thing and the guy who did the fake AI hands? Otherwise, this joke's not going to land.
My entire timeline since the start.
Oh, man. Well, Bash Bunny's only here because I catfished you all, and this is my conference, suckers! That's all.
We need a few minutes, or we get to talks?
I'm wondering if we're live.
Yes, we are live. I've been talking in chat on YouTube as well as talking in person here, but just into the camera so you can hear it here too. We'd love to know where you're joining from, what kind of work you do. Were you a student? Are you a developer, UI, UX designer? What kind of experience do you have, and what questions do you have for us tonight? Because we did get to do kind of like a raised hands here, so I want to know about our virtual viewers too.
Oh,
And,
wait.
yeah.
Did you want to do a shout out for Bash?
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Hi.
Yes.
Do I come say hi?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. I will give you the mic to introduce yourself, and yeah, hello.
Okay. Hi, I'm Bash Bunny. I go by Bash Bunny online. That's my handle for everything, except on Twitter where it's Pseudo Bunny because I need them to know I'm the boss. I create technical content, so I mainly write in Go, and I shill everything Go and terminals and open source software, and am an advocate for privacy. And yeah, friend of some famous tech YouTubers, I suppose, and that's it. YK invited me. Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to just lurk here and yeah, get to know everyone.
And stream.
And stream. Yeah, they're here.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I see you're live now.
Yeah. Yay!
Yes.
Okay, do I hand it off? How do we go?
Yeah, you do.
We'll figure it out.
All right. So we've done some warm up. We're all happy. We're ready to go, right? That's
Wait,
quiet.
wait.
Are we not ready to go?
Ready.
Do one more sponsor shout outs.
Yes.
Right. So the food, half of the cost was covered by Spiro, like you saw, and the other half is covered by actually the company I work at now, Propel Data. You can look it up. It's basically a way to create customer-facing analytics. When people hear customer-facing analytics, it's basically users' data that you collect, shown back to some of those users. So if you think about LinkedIn analytics, Twitter analytics, stuff like that, you're able to see data about yourself. That's customer-facing analytics. And Propel data makes that process easier. So if you know of a team that might be building it, or if you're in the team that might be building it, or if you know someone who might be in the process of building that, let us know. Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, it's always really hard to be ready to learn and excited when you're hungry, so it's always good to have food here. Thank you for that. And yeah, I believe now we are ready to get started.
Yeah, I guess we can do a quick intro of the speakers if you want. Do you
if
think
I
that
want.
makes sense? Yeah.
I mean, sure. I was just going to call them up one at a time and be like, all right, we have our first person talking
Well,
about
I mean,
this.
they're here.
I know. Yeah, sure. In that case, so before we get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you each the mic and give you a chance to kind of say hello and who you are and talk to the audience and welcome them in, right? I'll give it to you to start.
Hey, my name is Jonaed Iqbal. I'm the founder of NoDegree.com and host of the NoDegree Podcast, where I interview people about college degrees and have them share their stories. And today I'm going to give a talk on value-based networking.
Hello, I'm Nagisa Ando. I'm a front-end developer at MetaV Broadcast. Today I'm going to talk about how to be a self-taught developer. Nice to meet you all.
Hi everyone, I'm Anthony. I do product management at Microsoft, and today I'll be talking about how to transition or how to break into tech coming from a non-traditional, unconventional background.
Hey everyone, I'm Daniel Jonguitud. You can call me DJ. I'm software engineer, working mainly in fintech industry, working contractor, full stack, but yeah, software engineer as a whole. So yeah, I will be talking about learning technologies faster. So yeah, hope you like it.
All right, I'll come over here and grab this microphone from you. And now I believe we're ready to start. Yeah, so I'm going to welcome you over to here to the hot seat, and it's time to get your presentation going. Here, I'll give you this mic.
So while they set up, networking is a very popular concept. You hear it all the time. A lot of you are doing it now. But here's something that you commonly hear. Networking is BS. Right? You go to a bunch of meetups, you expect to get a job, and you actually walk away empty-handed. And networking is BS if you approach it the wrong way. So let me actually go and share how I actually got to this seat today. So I was on LinkedIn, and I met someone because I host a podcast. He didn't have a degree, and he mentioned, hey, I don't have a degree, I'd love to be on your podcast. He had an idea for a community, and he eventually started the community called Mentor Mesh, and it was about mentoring others. And through that, I met Netta, who I ended up helping her get a job. She messages me at 11 at night, asking me questions and all that stuff, and I'll answer. And she does the same for me. And so I mentioned to her, hey, I want more speaking engagements. I'm gonna do more of this. I really enjoy it. I want to share my message. I want to share what I learned. And then she said, hey, would you like to be a keynote speaker for this conference? I said, sure. Now, let's go back in a different parallel timeline. YK, I saw him start on Twitter, right? This was before he had 10,000. Right now, he's well over 100,000. And I just used to engage with the tweets. I was really active on Twitter. I used to spend like 4 hours a day on Twitter, just doing lots of fire emojis. And I used to comment, and YK would probably spend 3 times as much time as I did on Twitter. I would comment, he would like and respond to my comment. So you see, that's how networking works. That I met Netta, I met YK, and they met each other, not even through me, through their own interactions. And so, now, and I want to talk about something else. So now next slide, or where's the clicker? Oh.
We love computers. They work all the time.
Consistently, always.
All right. I don't need it. So there's another situation that I want to talk about. Everybody knows the OpenAI drama, right? Sam Altman got fired, he got hired, and all that stuff. Now, there was a quote famously that he mentioned one day that he said, to work for Microsoft would be like selling his soul. He actually said that at one point. So how does it come, right? So Satya Nadella actually met him several times. So think about the power of networking, even at all levels, right? That at one point he would not even consider it, to now it's something that he would actually do, and it's actually probably what had a big part in him coming back. So what you have to do is know 3 parts of networking. There's knowing your network, growing your network, and maintaining your network. A lot of people don't realize it, but you already have an existing network. So many people are focused on meeting new people, going out, but they forget that they have an existing network. Right? I've gotten referrals from people that I knew from high school. But you have to make sure that you keep up with your network. But if you're a student, you also have to grow your network. Right? You have to meet other people. You have to go out there, especially if you're transitioning. You have to get outside your circle. And then there's always maintaining your network. That once you grow it to a certain level, you can't just, hey, I have this network forever. You have to actually nurture that network. You You have to get out there and do it. So, now, one thing is, in networking, the fortune is in the follow-up. Right? You could meet someone, but if you never follow up, you're never going to get an opportunity. Your fortune is in the follow-up. And you don't have to follow up with 50 people, but you do have to be intentional and follow up at every event, 2 to 3 people. Get a conversation. Because it's not like you go to an event and you walk out with a job. Right? Because when does that happen? And for the most part, most people don't have jobs to just hand out. But you want them to remember you when something comes their way and they're like, oh, you know what? I think YK would be good for this. I think Jackie would be good for this. So you have to be top of mind. Now, how do I approach networking from a value-based standpoint where it's not transactional? Here's the truth. Nobody cares about you, right? You don't even care about me. You care about what I can help you with. So you always have to think about, when you're networking, how do you help others? What I've learned in networking is that the more I give, the more I receive. So you have to have this mindset of, when I'm going out there, how do I help everyone? Now, the other issue that a lot of people run into is they don't know what to give, right? They think, I'm a junior, I'm in college, I'm in a boot camp, I'm going to a new industry. How do I add value to other people? And let me share something. So if you give everyone $1,000 when you're networking, you're going to be the best networker. You're just going to run out of money before you leave this room. But in some situations, it does make sense to spend. It does make sense to give something big, right? Like if I could get a meeting with the CEO of Microsoft or Google, I'd pay $1,000 for that meeting, right? It could turn into a big contract. It could turn into a good conversation. I could get info that can change my life. But the fact is, you can't do that for everyone. So what you have to do is you have to identify something that you can give that's low cost to you, but high value to other people. And if you think of the most valuable thing in the world today, it's data and information. So you have to think about information that you can share. So for example, I know a lot about careers. I know a lot about resumes. I know a lot about podcasting. So whenever people ask me questions about this, I share that info. Like, think about the problems you have now, right? A lot of times if you know the right person, you have the right answer, you have the right info, it's going to help you get to the next level. So think about things that you have a lot of knowledge about. And it doesn't matter what you are, right? Do you have a lot of knowledge about cameras? Do you have a lot of knowledge about building PCs? Do you have a lot of knowledge about thrifting, about restaurants? You know, a lot of you are based in Vancouver. One thing I always tell people in big cities, you tell someone, hey, if you're ever visiting Vancouver and you need restaurant recommendations, feel free to send me a message. What's going to happen is when they visit Vancouver, they're going to think of you. Even if they never message you, they're going to think of you. Like, hey, I'm visiting this city. So, especially for people who are transitioning, coming from different backgrounds, try to think about the knowledge you have in different domains. Try to think about the things you're passionate about. And try to share that knowledge. Because now you're different from the other people who are networking. Because the common advice is, hey, go meet someone from Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and trust me, they know, right? They have these conversations all the time. Go send 100 messages on LinkedIn. Go send 100 messages on Twitter. Hope for one referral. But the fact is, you got to think about that. They're getting bombarded with messages. They're getting bombarded with people. They're not getting bombarded with people who are actually there, who are following up, who are there for them. And just realize that, find that thing that you know so much about. I did a resume for someone who worked at a car dealership. I said, hey, look, you go and you tell someone, if you're ever buying a car, send me a message. I'll help you throughout the process. He knows the process. It's a 10-minute phone call, and yet he's saving people thousands of dollars. You have skills that save people thousands of dollars. You have skills that save people a lot of time. And once you do that, this opens up. This sets you apart. This allows you to build your relationships. And it takes you to the next level. Because here's the reality. Someone's going to say, I have a UX designer role. There are probably several people in my network who need that role. But the only one who's going to get it is the person that I actually remember. So try to think about the things that make you memorable, that make you different. And it doesn't matter where you are in your life, where you are in your career, you have some knowledge. And here's the other thing. You don't even have to have the knowledge. As long as you can share where that knowledge exists. You could give people book recommendations. You could give people podcast recommendations. You can link them to someone who has the information. But as long as you focus on giving and sharing and doing that, people will remember you. So, one thing about follow-ups, it's not a one-time thing. That my friend who I met, who heads the Mentor Mesh community, I've helped him a lot, right, throughout the years. He needed little things and I helped him out. When he came to New York City, I picked him up from the airport. I spoke at an event that he spoke at. Again, it's not a one-time thing. It's not one comment, one like, and they're going to remember you. It's repeatedly liking. And you'd be surprised that even as people early in their careers, those retweets, those comments, those likes go a long way, right? Think about who you interact with. It's not a one-time thing. It's how many times do they show up for you on a regular basis? And it's not like you have to show up so much. You just have to show up more than others. I think a lot of you, if you're on Twitter, if you're on LinkedIn, and if you're on these platforms, you're going to see that most people only get like 3 to 5 comments. If you're one of those 3 to 5 comments on a regular basis, and you go out to reach out for a conversation, you go reach out for a referral, you go reach out to ask a question, they're just more likely to answer it. Now, the other thing is you also have to strike while the iron's hot. That you want to follow up. You don't want to follow up in 2 months, 3 months. I would recommend you make a meaningful connection with someone. Follow up. Just say, hey, I'd love to have a coffee chat with you next week. I'd love to, hey, when's the next networking event that you're going to? Do that so that you could really nurture that relationship. Because I've been guilty of it. Where you go, you don't follow up, and maybe by chance you meet them like a year or 2 later. Right? That happens. But you want to progress. You want to take action. And even a little action goes a long way. So, one of the ways that I tell people to pitch, formula for pitching, is I help who you help and what you help them with. Right? A lot of times people say, I do this, I'm a software engineer, I'm a product designer. Right? You got to think about what you do for others. You have to frame how you help others. So as you're doing these things, adjust what you say in relation to others. What do you do? And then you're memorable. The other thing that you have to do in networking, and you can adjust what you say depending on who you talk to, but you want to adjust it in a way that they can help you. So many people you come across, they're like, hey, what kind of job are you looking for? And you're like, I'm looking for any job. And someone who's looking for any job ends up getting no job. Right? Do you want a software engineer position? Do you want a UX designer position? And then you can even get more specific. I'm a software engineer that helps fintech companies. Then you're more specific. And you can adjust this because if you're talking to someone in fintech, you can adjust what you say versus you're talking to someone in a different industry. So always try to think about what you do and how you help people. And you always want to think about that. Once you start thinking about networking in terms of other people, you're going to have a much easier time. You're going to build more genuine relationships, and people are going to remember you. Right? Now, one thing that I would say is there's 2 aspects. Now, the beauty is you can network in person or you can network online. And the most powerful way to network is to combine both. That I network with people online who I've met offline. And I've met people in person, and then I take the further online. And you'd be surprised at that. Hey, you know my friend from Twitter. You know my friend from LinkedIn. You know my friend from that. And it's really going to change things up. And once you combine this, you're going to see it goes a long way. Because through online, you can meet people in other states. You can meet other people in different areas. Right? Like, my business partner who lives in Seattle, I met him online. And I met him through someone else I met online. And again, it's one of those things that you keep doing it, and you're going to see that you have this asset. You have this network. You have this community of people who are truly there to support you. And one thing that I'll say is just realize that it takes time. I think so many people see people and like, oh, they have this big community. A lot of people don't realize it takes a long time. But the beauty is when you have that and you keep doing it, it leads to so many wonderful things. Like I started being active on LinkedIn in 2019. I started being active on Twitter in 2021. but it's changed my life, right? I would have never visited Vancouver probably until today, but it happened because of Twitter, right? And it happened because of LinkedIn, and it happened because of all these online platforms. So I want to challenge each and every one of you to today find someone to connect with here and find some way that you can help them or give them something of value. And take your time, but that's what I want to challenge each of you with, so that you leave here with a meaningful connection and that you make the most of this. Q&A?
Thank you so much. Oh, we're off again? Or are we on? No? Microphones.
Yeah.
Who is doing tech again?
I opened the Q&A.
Okay, I can, okay.
Question.
Yeah.
So, when I was starting out, I was probably like a lot of people. Now I just serve food, so I'm a little
Yeah.
food server.
But you're the guide. Food guy is very important.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If anybody needs to remember me, I just say I fed you. Just give me a jump tip. What if you're shy? I started out really shy. It's really hard to just walk up to any random person and start a conversation. How do you overcome that? Any tips?
Yeah, so one tip is if you see a group of an odd number group, join them, because there's one person kind of in the corner. And I think that when people say they're shy, you realize it's like, it comes from a fear, right? Like, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna think you're dumb? And here's the reality, like, they're not gonna think you're dumb. And most people who say they're shy, they're worried, but just have a conversation with one person. I think so many people think they're intimidated by seeing a room of 50 to 100 people, but the fact is you only need to talk to one person. So if you're shy, talk to that person in the corner. They're probably shy too, and then you can bond over that. So that's something that I've seen that works really well. So find like a group of 3, talk to the third one, group of 5, talk to someone, or just lean into the conversation, and then and just listen. And yeah, that works, yeah.
I just wanted to add another tip that helped me. Find the person or the people who are sociable, because they carry the conversation for you. All you have to do is jump in when you're ready. They do the rest of the work. So just throw that out there. I'll carry a conversation for anyone.
No, I love that. Any other questions? I have.
Yeah, in the slide you say there were 2 ways to expand your network. One's in person and one's online. And I get a really good idea of how to expand or maintain my connection in person, according to your advice. Thank you for that. But online, I found it's really hard to build a connection that is actually mutual. For example, on Twitter or X, I would say follow is important or easy, the first step you can do. But beyond that, how would you is there any great way for you to make the connection in bi-directional rather than unidirectional?
Yeah, okay. How you take it? So Twitter is really good for Twitter Spaces. That's where I've built so many connections, and you'd be surprised at how many meaningful people come up in Spaces, right? So you kind of
Spaces.
And go to YK Spaces.
Yeah, what is a
Oh, so Twitter Spaces. What is Twitter Spaces? So it's basically a live stream without video. And it's like a phone call where anybody can join, and there are limits to how many people can speak up on stage, but join Spaces. And what I would say is, if you hear someone say something good, send them a message. Be like, hey, I really like what you had to say in that space. And don't even ask for anything. Right? And then when you see people that you really like, comment under tweets. And the beauty of Twitter, so Twitter, you don't have to have meaningful comments. I literally I used to do 100 comments a day. Heart, fire emoji, 100 emoji. It's a fast-moving platform. Maybe once in a while I'll do more comments, but people appreciate it, that it's like, hey, you're helping my content go further. That means a lot. You can say yes, truth, 100, great tip. That's the beauty of Twitter. You don't have to do a lot. On LinkedIn, you have to do a little more. You want to be a little more meaningful. It's a slower platform. But even retweeting, right? I know who retweets my stuff on a regular basis. So go that way, and then what you want to do is one day look at what they're posting about and just say, hey, I'd love to have a call with you. Here's my background. Would you have time for a call, for a chat? Now, what I'll say is, depending on the person, it depends. Like someone with 500 followers, much easier to get a conversation with someone with 1,000 or 10,000 or 50,000. So I will say you have to adjust it, because someone with 50,000 is going to get so many more messages, so you have to show up more for them. just because their inbox, like literally, I'm gonna tell you, like the Twitter inbox, a bunch of them is like hi, and all those conversations they don't get anywhere. Versus someone who messages me, who I've seen, who shows up, who supported me, I'm more than likely to hop on a call with them. One more question.
That was our last
Oh,
question, so
question.
we're ready to go to the next speaker. But I'm sure, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your talk. And for everyone else that's here, you can tell I do online events because I was like, whoa, those are real claps. Those are not claps in the chat. But for everyone that's here, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunity to network with us after the event. And I forgot to mention this in our intro, but we do also have mentors who are here and available to speak with you. Hopefully everyone can hear me better this way versus the microphone. So with that said, we're going to welcome up our second speaker. Are you ready? Yes. Yay. It's Nagisa, right? All right. I was like, I have to say this quietly before I say it wrong. So we're welcoming up Nagisa for our second talk today and for her first talk. So it's going to be great. We'll have you come over here to the hot seat.
We're getting
And
claps in the chat.
then I think
It's the next tab.
the next tab.
Yeah, the next tab.
Oh, sorry, didn't see.
Oh shoot, what happened?
That's okay.
No, it's okay.
We're all good. We'll just have a moment while we're transitioning slides and everything. How's everyone feeling so far?
Good.
Good, great, yeah? That's good. Yeah, it's really fun to stand up here and be like, all right, you have to listen to me for like 2 minutes, okay?
Captive audience.
Yeah, right, captive audience. You're stuck here. Also, if you leave, the elevator's not working right now, so I'm just kidding. But yeah, are we good? All set up?
Yep.
All right, let's get a warm welcome for Nagisa, our second speaker.
The microphone is not working, right?
Where did the mic go?
No, it's okay. I can scream. I just wanted to.
I think that one was working. I think it was just mine that's not working.
Hold on to the orange.
Oh.
You need to
It was on, but
press and hold.
okay.
Hopefully this works.
How does it sound? Can
No.
yeah?
No.
Okay, so I can pretend that it's working. All right, so I'm gonna start my timer. Okay. Again, thank you so much for showing up here. I'm Nagisa Ando. Let me introduce myself very quickly. I'm a front-end developer, as I mentioned in the beginning. And this is a picture of myself and then the teacher, chef. I was studying cooking, in a college in Toronto. So I have a diploma in cooking. I don't really have any background in computer science. Actually, during the pandemic, changed my career to developer. And it took almost 1 year of studying, and I got a job as a freelancer and a contractor. And around 2 years ago, I got a job at NoDegree Blue Cross. And so, because of my background, today I would like to talk about, like that, okay, how to become a self-taught developer. But I think I found that this title is very vague, not really clear. So I changed my title to be Key to My Development Career and Job Success. Meaning is that because what I was studying, I got so many advices from many people, but I don't have any computer science background, so I couldn't really trust if the person is telling the truth or like it's gonna work for me. But because I became a developer, so actually I can see what advice worked for me. So today I'd like to share those keys with you too. First, some people already may know, but avoiding a tutorial help. So in case if you don't know what is a tutorial help, is a person who keeps watching videos and they keep watching videos. They never do anything else. And it happens to me too. I want to emphasize that watching video is totally okay, and it helps me to improve lots of skills as well. But you want to actually get your hands dirty means make project. You want to make project. Me too. I didn't really feel ready to create a project. I felt like I need to watch tutorials to improve my knowledge, but it doesn't really work like that. How you learn is you want to hit a problem and find a solution online. ChatGPT, Google, it's not really cheating. You can use them, and then you want to understand why it's working. So those circle makes you a strong developer and move you faster. And the next one is if you making a project and it got stuck too long, you don't want to get stuck too long. Instead, you want to reach out to somebody who is in the industry or who knows somebody who knows more than you. Means could be community. You can post some questions in the Stack Overflow, Reddit, or even meetups. And the mentorship, the ChatGPT. When I was studying by myself, there was no ChatGPT available. But right now, I use pretty often while I'm working. ChatGPT 4 is always the recommendation. And sometimes you ask questions and they answer back with very technical, and I don't really understand. For those cases, ChatGPT, you can just tell them, hey ChatGPT, I'm so new to this field and I don't really have knowledge. Can you make it to less technical and make it with lots of examples? Because I am the person who understands with example. And the ChatGPT can adjust the tone with the understanding. And then last but not least, not just asking, try to understand the error messages, because when you hit the problem, most likely you will see error messages in the terminal. And I'm sure happens to some of you, happens to me. We tend to skip the error messages because it's not really human friendly, I found. But most of the time it's hiding answers, or in a very obvious way, it's providing answers. So try to read. If you don't understand, you can just throw to ChatGPT and then they can translate for you. And there's not really a good time to apply for jobs, so never wait too long. Maybe just create 3 projects just for your portfolio and then start applying for jobs. And I found that most of the job description is pretty overwhelming because there's so many lists, but they're just a wish list. That's what I heard, and then that relieves me. Those are just a wish list. So if half of them match your skills, just go to apply. It's totally okay. And if some skills, if you keep seeing some skills that you don't have, but if you keep seeing across the different job list, that means probably that's a skill that you need to get into that career. So you can just go back to learn and come back to apply. Or you can just keep applying for jobs while studying. That's ideal. And then networking. It's really important to improve yourself first and then prepare yourself too. Like preparing resume, portfolio. But actually my first contractor job in Canada was because I knew somebody who was in the industry already. So networking brings you a lot of opportunities. So it's another key. And the last one, every experience counts beyond tech. So maybe some of you are not in the tech industry right now, but no matter where you come from, every experience is valuable. Honestly, I couldn't really see the relationship between cooking and the tech. But actually there are so many skills that I'm transferring to development, even something small, communication skills, time management, discipline, and most importantly, I got this mindset that if I can deal with stress and the heat in the kitchen, I can deal with bug, anything in the development. So every experience is not wasted. And this is everything. Hope these tips help you, and thank you so much for listening.
There we go. How are you feeling? Are you up to a little Q&A?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Right. Yes.
No worries. Every time you finish a talk and you're like, oh, there's questions still.
Oh.
It happens to me every time.
Yeah, that makes me scared most. Let's see.
So the first question I'm going to ask you, it actually came from our Twitch audience on Bash Bunny's channel, was have you read Cooking for Geeks?
Oh, geeks.
Yeah, apparently there's like a cookbook, and since you came from culinary, they were wondering if that was something you'd seen. Here, I can give you the mic so I can talk loud.
So, but what do you mean, like a cooking for geeks?
It's like a cookbook.
Yeah. I think it's just a book for if you're learning to code. It's called Cooking for Geeks, and they said that book saved my life.
Yeah.
So I think if you're coming from a cooking background, that maybe you'd really enjoy it. I don't know.
Oh,
I think so. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Like I'm really actually a video person, so I need to read a book more. I know, but I don't really do that, so I should do it. Now
So
I know. Yeah.
So now you're just gonna have to sign up for a book club and encourage
That's my new to-do list. Yes.
I've left my phone over there, so you cue me when we're running out of Q&A time.
Oh, sure.
But first off, does anyone in the room have any questions that we would like to ask? Okay, I've waved at you, so you can ask first.
Not a question, just a comment. Years back, I did a talk on cooking and coding and allegory. Mise en place is a philosophy I stand by. I mean, in cooking, mise en place is so important that you prepare all the dishes and then you start cooking. So, our agile life cycle process, it's pretty much like that. I just got reminded of that.
Yeah, it's true. I kind of love that. It has that different, I've talked about that with infrastructure before, where it has the different steps that you can follow to recreate the things. It's a really nice analogy. Do we have
You
any?
always adopt things. If something's missing, you could just come up with something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions?
What was your thought process for transitioning your career from a cooking background to tech? Like, why did you decide to?
If I'm being really honest, I've been working as a cook for several years, and then I wanted something more flexibility, and more flexibility because I was a baker, so I needed to get out of my house at 5 a.m. and then working Saturday and Sunday. It's pretty basic stuff, but I really hate it, and so that was my first motivation.
Is there anything you did not expect after transitioning to tech?
I didn't expect. Actually, I need to talk a lot. That's what I didn't really expect. I was more thinking about just sitting in front of the laptop. It's not really like that. It's actually the soft skill is really required in this industry, which is something that I didn't expect.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so
Let's
much.
get some claps in person, claps in the chat. I'll take that from you, so not to carry everything. Thank you.
All right. Before the next speaker, just wanted to quickly announce something. So we're having a networking event right after this, and it's gonna be at Original Joe's Robson. So yeah, reservation under my name apparently. And I know that some of the so I think Jackie is gonna be there.
I will be there.
Yeah, and some of the mentors hopefully are gonna be there. We'll see. But if you'd like to join us, you can just join us at the bar, Original Joe's. Cool. You don't have to drink.
Yeah, it's not always about the food or the things you eat, it's about the company, as we've learned from our first talk about value-based networking. And now I think we're good to welcome up our third speaker. So I'd love if everyone could give us a warm welcome for Anthony.
Alrighty, 1 second to pull it up.
This one went quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Nice.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Anthony, and a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in Vancouver. I went to SFU, originally studying business. SFU? Yeah. I studied business originally in accounting and finance. And I eventually realized that that was not the life for me. And I figured I wanted to try my hand at transitioning and making a pivot into tech. So I landed my very first tech internship in project management, and in that experience, absolutely fell in love with the tech industry and with PM, and I never looked back since then. So after I graduated, I started off my project management career at SAP, and I worked there for a little over 4 years as a project manager. And about 2.5 years ago, I realized that I wanted a bit of change. And so that was when I made a jump over to Microsoft, and I've been working there ever since as a product manager. And what I work on today, I work on what we call tented projects. So these are new products that are pre-release, pre-market, unannounced. So unfortunately, I'm not at much liberty to talk about these as much as I would like to, but that's my background in a nutshell. So today, my talk is about breaking into tech from a non-traditional or an unconventional background. And just out of curiosity here, I'd like to see a show of hands of how many people here are not in tech today, but they want to transition into tech. How many people in the audience? Okay, I see a couple hands, Okay, how about this one? How many people here are in tech today, but you want to transition to a different discipline? So maybe from software engineer to PM or any other discipline transition in tech. Okay, a little more. Okay, cool. So that's really cool to see. And I imagine everyone else, you're happy where you're at, which is totally cool as well. So before we kind of dive a little bit deeper, I just want to throw out a disclaimer out there that, what I share today, purely anecdotal, purely my own personal opinions, and a lot of it is going to be more specifically catered to those who want to transition into more what I call like product building roles. So these are typically roles like product manager, project managers, software engineers, UX designers. So I hope what I shared today can be of value to all of you in some capacity or another. And so today I have 5 key pieces of advice to share on how to break into tech coming from a non-traditional background based on my own personal experience doing it myself. So let's get started. So advice number 1 is you have to go the extra mile. So if you come from a non-tech background, you want to work in a tech role, the one thing that you need to realize is that the burden of proof is going to be on you to prove that you can add value. So if someone comes along, let's say they come from a traditional software engineering background, and they put in an effort of X into their applications, their networking, their interview prep. So for you to compete for the exact same role, very likely you're going to not only put in an effort of X, you're going to have to put in X plus Y. You're going to have to go a bit above and beyond. And it's likely not going to be enough just trying to match the level of effort of others, especially not in this market today where opportunities are a lot more limited and competition among talent is much higher than before. And I know this isn't the soft, fluffy advice that some folks might like to hear, but it's also the hard reality of today. So if this is something that you truly want in your heart and you want to succeed in a new domain, you have to be willing to go the extra mile. Unfortunately, there are no shortcuts here. Advice number 2, start now. Start today. I've talked to so many people who have said to me that they want to transition into tech. And the one thing that I've noticed so commonly among them is that they're almost always stuck on the very first step. They can't get started. They spend a lot of time thinking about what is the perfect course they should take, what is the perfect project they should start, what is the perfect program they should follow, right? And they get stuck in what we call analysis paralysis, where they're spending a little bit too much time thinking about things and they're not spending enough time actually putting it into action and actually doing things. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is to get started today on something. Like it could be anything. Because what's more important is that you get started today, you get your hands dirty, and you start building the rhythm and the habit of learning and applying. And that is really key. So get started today. Don't let analysis paralysis be your excuse to procrastinate it. So advice number 3 is don't discount your non-tech background. I think a lot of times it's very easy to forget the value of diversity and the value of the skills that you have built in your past experiences. So let's work with a hypothetical example here. So let's say I start a project, I throw 5 engineers at it. I throw 5 very like-minded engineers at it. And let's say this project's chances of success from 0 to 100, let's say it's somewhere in the midpoint. Now let's say I throw one more person into that project team, someone who's a little bit different. They come from a different background, they think a little bit differently. Maybe they're a strong communicator. Maybe they can drive decisions. They can set expectations. They can get alignment. And just by adding this one extra person into the mix who's a little bit different, this project's chances of success just went from here and it skyrockets all the way up to here. Because what I needed in this project isn't an additional person who could code. What I needed was someone who has empathy, has people skills, can work with really awkward colleagues like myself, and can bridge the gap between technical and non-technical stakeholders, right? So these are just some examples of skills that you could have built and that you could have honed outside of tech in your past experiences. That would be an absolute asset in tech. And so it's really just a matter of figuring out, what are those skills that you built outside of tech? How do you frame them and how do you sell them properly? So don't discount your non-tech background. Advice number 4, you don't necessarily need to know how to code, but you do need to understand technology. Now, this doesn't hold as true to some roles like software engineers or any other technical roles where you're expected to know technical languages to perform your daily tasks. Yes. This piece of advice applies a little bit more to what I call tech-adjacent roles. So anyone trying to get into product management, project management, or maybe even consulting, or maybe UX designers. There are so many ways for you to express technical fluency without needing to know how to code. So for example, you can express technical aptitude by having a strong fundamental core understanding of software development lifecycle, how testing works, high-level systems design. Maybe if some knowledge about cloud, the different cloud providers and the typical services that they offer, compute, storage, database, right? The list goes on. If you can code, that's great. That's an excellent bonus. But for those of you who can't code like me, there are many ways, there are many alternatives for you to meet that technical bar without ever needing to write a single line of code. I worked in tech for over 6 years. I haven't written a single line of code, and I've been able to get away with it. So you don't necessarily need to know how to code, but you do need to understand technology. And the last piece of advice that I do want to share is to take advantage of opportunities that are catered to career transitioners. So a lot of the big tech companies have inclusive hiring programs that are specifically catered to those who are looking to make a transition in their career, and those who come from non-traditional and unconventional backgrounds. So Microsoft has a LEAP program, LinkedIn has the REACH program, Google, Airbnb, many of the other big techs, they all have their own apprenticeship programs. So these are programs that combine classroom learning as well as real-life hands-on work on real projects, on real teams that are specifically designed to help folks explore tech and to explore opportunities in that area. So personally, I'm on the hiring committee for Microsoft LEAP, so that's the program that I can speak to the most. But the point here is that these opportunities are here. And a lot of times they are under-promoted, nobody really knows about them. So please do take advantage of these opportunities. Like just through the LEAP program, I've seen people come through who, I've seen professional chefs as well, actually, funny enough, who've come through the program. I've seen used car salesmen who have come through the program, and now they've become professional PMs and software engineers at Microsoft through this program. So please keep an eye out for these opportunities. So to kind of wrap everything up today, these were the 5 key pieces of advice that I wanted to share in how to break into tech from a non-traditional background, just based on my own experience, journey, and learnings. And I hope that this has been of some value to you. And I wish you all best of luck in your career journeys. Thank you.
All
right, thank you so much. So we've got time for one question. We have one question for Anthony. Yeah.
Thank you. And can you make an example of transitions specifically from a person who hadn't the opportunity to work and teach and become a programmer software engineer, like very specific, if it's possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So many of the programs that I'd share, these are all apprenticeship programs specifically designed for folks who did not go through the traditional education for tech. These are open to really anyone of any background, as long as you're able to demonstrate your passion to learn. That's really the top criteria that they're really looking for. Now, criteria can certainly vary across the different programs, but in general, that's what they're open to. So we've seen people from completely unrelated, unrelevant backgrounds, but as long as they are motivated and they show a willingness to learn, a willingness to be mentored and coached, and they're willing to try something out different, that's exactly what we're looking for. And so these are excellent programs that are often under-promoted. Nobody really knows about them, but they are so valuable for anyone looking to transition into tech.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Claps in person and in the chat, please, for Anthony. It is so true. There's so many people that come into tech that have different backgrounds. I actually started as a music major, and a lot of the people that I've worked with are very similar. They've come from completely different places, and those different skill sets always bring nice things to the team. It's different perspectives, right? So with that said, I'm going to welcome up our next speaker, Daniel. So how are we feeling? About halfway through, a little over halfway, I believe. We've got 2 more talks left. Yeah.
Oh, please, because he's helping us with the slides and also presenting a lot of work here.
Yeah. We've got 2 more, and then we've got networking and food, which will be really fun. I'm looking forward to a chance to get to talk to everyone. All right, here we go.
Let's do it. Hey everyone, I hope you are doing good. I would like to start with a small anecdote that I had with YK while we were talking about my presentation. He was actually asking me, are you okay talking to 70 plus people? And I was like, well, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. I think that's the way to go. But I also want to use this moment to actually congratulate all of you for actually being here. I do believe that the very first thing that you need to do to grow in your career, wherever area you are coming from, is to actually to show up. And you guys are here showing up, taking this information that all of us have worked hard to put together. So please give me some hands, but it's for you, for all of you guys, people, YouTube, I think Twitch around here. But anyways, let's go into the topic. So I'm going to talk about learning technologies faster. It's a methodology that I want to share. It's not unique for me, but it's something that I do in my daily day. My name is Jonguitud. So I'm a software engineer. However, basically my background is electronic engineer. I don't have a former computer science background. I work mostly on fintech startup. I'm really passionate about technologies. You can see here the list. Kind of bragging, but basically I have been working with multiple technologies through my career. It's just basically the need that I needed in startups, which I actually enjoy a lot. So basically these are the 3 topics that I would like to show to you, which is start from the top, which is the strategy that I use for learning, which I think can benefit you in your career. I will share a short story about why actually this works, or why I consider this can work for you. And also fill in the gaps, because as I believe, any strategy has certain negative points, but there is a way to actually solve that. So before I start, what is the top exactly in this start from the top strategy? So the top is basically you start learning something by the actual goal that you want to achieve. So instead of coming from the traditional way that you start from the very bottom learning foundation, you actually start in reverse from the actual thing that you want to achieve. So in example, in web development, basically, if you want to, let's say, learn a new technology, probably you can start by creating an application. So instead of you going through the the very foundational computer science of HTML or whatever you actually need for you to accomplish your task, you actually start from your task. But for this actually to work, we need to set up some goals and have a specific mindset for it. So the first goal that you want to achieve is actually that you want to fail fast. So, but you starting by the very first thing that you want to achieve, actually that's the hardest part, because it's something that you might not have any idea about how to even attempt. So in that way, you can actually figure it out yourself that, okay, I need to actually, I understanding that I don't know this. So you need to embrace the failure, be open to it. Actually, this is part of any career development. You need to accept that you don't know everything and that you will still need to learn something down the road. So once you have figured out that, you will start to narrow down until you understand your limits. So it's not about that you start from creating an application. Actually, you're gonna start to figure out, okay, what do I actually need to create an app or any kind of project? So you start to narrow down until you actually match your skills with your actual goal. So in this case, you need to adjust to the complexity of the task that you want to do. And the main reason for this is actually bring me to the last point, which is keep the focus as much as possible. So in order for you to actually move forward with any technology that you want to do or you want to learn, actually you need to find enjoyment and be able to actually focus as much as time as possible, right? This is the kind of secret sauce of this methodology, that as long as you enjoy what you're doing, you are more likely to actually put more time and effort on it and probably understand it in a deeper level. So here you can see a chart. This is basically the flow state theory, which is basically picking up a task that has enough challenge that matches your level of skills. That means that whatever you are doing, you need to try to make it to be not as hard, not as easy, just in the middle. So in order for you to be able to actually find the most of attention into your task and also the most of the enjoyment. So why would you want to do this? There is multiple reasons why somebody would like to learn technology or anything fast. It could be to land a job, or it can be simply because of own learning or own satisfaction about learning something. But I will tell you a story about how I used this in my early days when I was a bit younger. So this is little Daniel playing the guitar. So basically my dad was insisting that in order for me to actually learn, he was telling me you need to learn acoustic guitar first, and then you need to go to classes about basic musical instrument, but I had none of that. I really didn't want to go to this full process, because for me the main point of learning guitar was to look cool. As any teenager, I just wanted to look cool, be popular with my friends, maybe get a girl. I just wanted to do that. So basically the main point for me was, okay, I gotta get my guitar, I got it, and then I started to learn to play full songs. The secret of the actual idea of this is that once I learned to learn a song, then I needed to learn guitar techniques, practice chords, learning scales, all of these things, right? But if you transition this one in any objective that you might have right now, probably it can resonate a little bit with the things that you want. For example, I wanted to look good. I wanted to look competent. I wanted to be attractive to whatever, right? But maybe in your current career, you want to look attractive for companies. You want to look interesting for any HR manager or something, right? Like, that's the point of this methodology, that it can actually push you a little bit faster on the goals that you want to achieve. There is a way, it's kind of a disadvantage when you are going over the top of things. Probably sometimes you don't know the actual foundation or basic things, but there is a specific thing that this methodology has that helps you to keep information long term, and is that as long as you keep yourself motivated in doing projects that you actually enjoy and continue working on them, every new thing that you learn will just reinforce the previous one. So that's the actual interesting thing about this methodology that I have found, that basically it's just that. It helps you over and over again, like a snowball effect. So there is nothing you will be wasted. However, you cannot really avoid fundamentals. at least not for long. If you really want to actually become really good at whatever you want to achieve or do, it doesn't matter if it's technology project, you need to actually understand the fundamentals of the things that you are doing. So my suggestion will be to actually add whatever topic you actually need for it as part of your learning. So whenever you are doing something from the top, learning, doing a project, you also want to incorporate foundations of the things that you are doing. In case of web development, this is kind of not really, I mean, there is a lot of topics about this, but I just wanted to add some to give you an idea. So basically, you just want to add this kind of knowledge, which is foundational knowledge. So, but the most important thing about this strategy is that there is no knowledge that you cannot use as your favor as long as you keep learning. The most important thing is consistency about learning. Because when you learn one technology, then you can learn the other, or one technique, you can learn the other, and then you automatically will start to compare, and it will actually reinforce the previous learning, and in that way, I don't think there is anything that can stop you. So, thank you so much. This was my presentation, and I would like to move forward with the questions and answers.
So we've got time for 2 questions. Sorry, we'll get more questions for you at the networking event. Oh yeah, I guess before we do the Q&A, that leads me to a really good point. Our speakers will be at the networking event, as well as myself and a bunch of other people, so you'll have more opportunities to ask us questions. So, who has a first question for Daniel?
How do you calibrate keeping things interesting? Like you mentioned, right, you should know your limits and narrow down all of them, right? How do you know when's the right level to like calibrate it so that you hit that like level of focus? Or is it just feeling?
It's basically the moment that you feel you want to do it. I don't know if you have ever played, I mean, in my case, I think a good example will be video games. When you know the video games that might be attracting to you, or maybe know a book or something. When you find the thing, you just simply know that is the thing you want to do. You are thinking about it, next day you want to do it. That's the moment. That's basically the moment that you are reaching the level that I was talking about challenging and skill. That means that that's the thing that you're looking for, and that's the thing that you should pursue.
Do we have one more question?
I just have a comment, perhaps. I see this idea I agree with as a way to get out of tutorial hell, because you can just like watch all the tutorials in the world, like try and build a foundation from bottom up. And I don't have a good math foundation, but I built like game engines, and the only way is like learn the bare minimum I need for the biggest task I can imagine.
Yeah, making projects is just key. I mean, as I mentioned, my background is engineering, yes, kind of tech, but I didn't study software engineer. In my career, they didn't teach me to program. So the only way I learned was just doing projects. That was the way for me, which I believe a lot of people can actually leverage, because these days it's just the amount of knowledge online is just insane. You have everything.
I have a question, like opinion on what I'm listening from. I know there's a high emphasis on project creation. What is your opinion on short snippet code problem solving, such as lead code and other problem solving codes on sites overall?
I actually think it's really necessary in a way that mentioning that this strategy has the problem that you focus too much over the top, that you are actually not reinforcing important skills like problem solving in terms of algorithms. I personally found that in the recent years as a problem that I had when I started to face reality with interviews where they asked me data structures, algorithms, and I noticed that I was not actually capable of do that. So yeah, I think projects in a way is necessary for you, at least to give you an idea and portfolio that can maybe get you a job, but it will not be everything. You need to reinforce with basic knowledge. So yeah, I will say it's just super important. Not only for job interview. I have enjoyed more my career since I've been learning more foundational knowledge. I think these days that's the only thing I'm doing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That was our last question for now. Yes, of course. Thank you again for coming up and speaking tonight, Daniel.
Thank you.
We have.
Days.
Yeah, no worries. So we've just got our last speaker coming on tonight, and I've just been asked before YK goes up, just to let you know that we had a lot of volunteers today that helped us to make sure this event happened. So we did give a shout out already to our sponsors who helped us get the space. They helped provide the food for the event today. We also had help from Tony, who's done our audio, video, and live streaming. We've had help from Mona for photography. And we also had help from Tusif and Kao for operations. And yeah, so just I'd love to give a moment to just have a warm up round of thank you for our volunteers. And with that, I believe we're ready for our final talk tonight.
All right.
So here we go, YK.
Yeah. Before I get into it, how's everyone feeling? Is everyone? Is everyone?
We're great.
Woo! Great.
Good.
Too hot, too cold, at the right temperature, thirsty. I mean, there's water there. There's coffee, tea, everything there. If anyone needs a washroom break, don't worry about doing what you need to do. But good to see everyone here. I think everyone feels good. I was watching you guys, and I noticed that you all look pretty engaged. So that's always good to see that. And I think we'll just get started. So I'm going to talk about building in public and building your online presence. And I want to ask, who here is familiar with the concept of building in public? Many of you? Cool. You
I think
too?
we'd have to put a hand up for that one.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I should say hello to people watching on YouTube, people watching on Twitch. I guess that those are Bash fans, I can say.
They're all sharing the chair, yes.
Sharing the chair. 200 people in a single chair.
They're very small.
Very cool. So, when people hear about building in public, I think the first thing that comes to most people's mind, I'm guessing, is building a project and then maybe live streaming on Twitch or YouTube. But in my opinion, you don't have to do either of those things. I'm going to go into that. And the reason I wanted to talk about this topic was partly because I'm really passionate about it. I care about this topic, but also partly because I know that a lot of people are interested in this topic. I noticed online people started to talk about this topic, and there is one more reason for it, and that is this: the challenging job markets. It's just the reality. The job market went down. I'll just move this cursor away. A while ago, and it's been recovering kind of, but very, very slowly. The recovery has been sluggish, and I think people can feel that. I'm curious, who here is in the process of looking for a job? A lot of you? Who here might be looking for a job soon? Okay, so based on the surveys earlier and this quick survey, it sounds like most people here are already in tech. I know some of you are not, but most people here are already in tech, but still looking for a job. So I think this just shows, the point I'm making in this slide. And by the way, throughout this presentation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of my public posts on Twitter and LinkedIn to kind of show you examples of some of the things that you can talk about online, building in public, and also to illustrate some of the points that I'm making here. And the first post that I want to show for that is this one. Getting a job in tech is effing hard. It's just the reality. You can see a lot of people resonated with it, and I think it's very easy to see nowadays. I posted it in October, but it's still true nowadays. getting your first job in tech is really hard. This is also true, and a lot of people can resonate with that, I think. And just to kind of illustrate this point a little bit, just to screw this pain point a little bit more, by the way, this was advice that I was given to show the pain before you show the painkiller. So here it is. You apply for jobs. You apply for 10 jobs, 100 jobs, 200 jobs, 500 jobs. Nagy was talking about it earlier. But then you hear back from 1 or 2, sometimes even 0. It's just a reality. A few years ago, it wasn't like this at all. But that's just the reality. And a post to illustrate this point is this one. This was a little bit hard to see, but it's a job posting, a remote one that has 5,806 applicants. And this is a little bit of an outlier, but it does show the point. And what I said there is, this is exactly why applying for jobs online sucks, especially for a remote one. How can it even be noticed among 5,806 resumes, right? Like even Elon Musk's resume wouldn't be noticed. I know Elon Musk wouldn't apply for a job, but you get the point. You might say, okay, if I'm not looking for a job right now, some of you will say that. For those people, I think a minority here probably, I would say, well, what about your next opportunity? What about a job that you might want to have? What about a business that you might want to build? What about funding that you might want to raise? What about customers that you might want to find? For that, I would say this works. So this is someone I talked to online. From time to time, he said he joined Twitter 1 year ago, and it honestly changed my life. So this was 2021, but it still works today. He says he's joining Twitter. He made first money online, started his company, raised capital, quit his day job, got accepted into Y Combinator, hired first engineer. So again, this is an outlier, in a different direction, but this stuff works. So the solution to both of these coins, both sides of this coin, whether you're looking for a job or whether you want to find the next opportunity in general, is building in public. Who here is excited to learn about that? Cool. So again, when people hear building in public, you might think, okay, build a project, like a tech project, website, app, and then stream it. In my opinion, no, you don't have to do either of those things. I think the definition of building in public should be broader. So just a quick example, a friend of mine in New York, his name is Jason, and he wanted to get a job in tech. He's actually in the process of doing it still. But what he decided to do is, instead of applying for jobs, he realized, he needs to network, he needs to, like Jonaed was talking about, he needs to get to know people, basically online or offline. He needs to learn about the whole process and what it's like to actually work in tech, what it's like to get a job in tech, and all of that. So what he decided to do is he decided to start a show on Twitter Spaces, Twitter basically audio live streams, where he would interview people and he would have a conversation with them, and he did it really consistently. And that way, actually, he was able to make a lot of good connections. He started to get invited to conferences, even free tickets. So who can say no to that? So the point there is that he didn't build a website. He's building a website now, but he didn't start it that way. He built a community, and then he showed his progress. That's building in public. And what I like to say about this topic is that apply for a job and you may end up in Silicon Valley, building public, and Silicon Valley will come to you.
Whoa.
I think Bash can actually speak to that.
Yeah.
Yes, because what she did is, she started to basically learn stuff, Golang, and build stuff in Golang on Twitch mostly, and a few other platforms. And actually a Silicon Valley company reached out to her.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I had a few companies that reached out just based on the fact that I was building in public, and it was great because It helped my imposter syndrome a bit because I knew that they knew what they were getting in for, you know what I mean? I was building in public, so they knew the level of competency that I had and stuff, and that was reassuring as well.
Exactly. Thank you for that. And it just shows that this is a great way for you to de-risk yourself, to show what you're capable of, and to basically spread your presence everywhere so that people know that you exist. So here's one more example here. In my personal example, this one I said, oh, hey, look who's an international keynote speaker. The background of this tweet is I started to, really build my online presence like 7 years ago with YouTube, but more recently with Twitter, LinkedIn, basically Twitter 1.5 years ago, I would say, LinkedIn about 1 year ago. And about 6 months ago, this company called Propel Data that I told you guys about earlier, who, yes, thank you. Right, you distracted me. Right, so yeah, Propel Data got the food, Spiro too. So thank you for the shout. Thank you for the, everything again. But anyway, they reached out to me because of my LinkedIn presence actually, and I was able to build that because of Twitter. I was kind of able to bring some people over to LinkedIn, and then I started to post more. I started to take LinkedIn more seriously. I did Twitch a little bit, but not too much. A little bit of streaming, but not too much. The main focus was Twitter and LinkedIn. They reached out to me. They said they want me to be what's called as developer advocate. I said, okay, developer advocate sounds good, but I want to be a senior developer advocate. They said yes. So that's how I ended up getting a job there. And the company is based in San Francisco, so that's another example of Silicon Valley coming to you. This actually happens. It's not like this tweet is not a lie. It's what happens. And then this particular event, I hosted it in San Francisco, so I ended up kind of going back to Silicon Valley in a way, and I basically invited myself as the keynote speaker. Just like this event. But to my defense, I'd rather have someone else, but it's really, really hard to find a good speaker, so here we are. So the point there, through all of these stories, is that you gotta leverage your personal strength. If your strength is you feel like you're good at talking to people online on Twitch, then do that. If you feel like you're good at building something in Golang or whatever you want to use, do that. If you feel like you're good at building a community, you can do that too. So just to show you guys, one more example that I've been doing. This post is basically about me trying to build a tech community in Vancouver. What I said here, it's small, so I'm just going to read it out. I said, Vancouver is already one of the best places to live in the world. I'm going to help it become one of the best tech cities in the world. Watch me. You guys are watching me now, so that's cool. And one more quick example from my personal journey is Kaguya. This is a project that I built. That's an intelligent AI assistant that works in VS Code, basically. I made a post about it. People reached out to me, and I got to make even more connections through that too. And I would say I made a little bit of money from it, but it's beyond that. Beyond financial reward to me. What's been rewarding for me is the connections I've made, and things like getting invited to OpenAI and GitHub events in Silicon Valley again. So that's been really cool for me. So 2 examples that I've talked about are building a community, whether it's Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever that might be, or an in-person community like this one, coding, building project, whatever. There is one more thing that you could do. What could that be? Community, code,
Collaboration?
Collaboration? No.
Branding.
Food?
Yes.
I feel like learning.
Connect. It starts with a C. Community code.
Connections.
Contents. So Twitch, in a way, is content. YouTube is content. A quick example from me is the YouTube channel I started. I know I haven't been too active recently. I'm planning to go back there soon. But I started it, again, about 7 years ago. 1.92 million.
I'm sorry, the chat said
So
COBOL.
chat said COBOL.
It must be COBOL, the language.
COBOL. Yeah. Love it.
We're just losing it over here.
Right.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. They should apologize.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I mean, I have nothing against COBOL. It's cool.
Okay, they're all losers.
They're all losers. They're your fans. Anyway, so from this one, I basically, built up my entire career. To be honest, all these things I've been building in public. The YouTube channel has been the basis of that. It could be a YouTube channel. It could be a blog post. It could be, I guess, a blog, a newsletter, whatever you're comfortable with. So, who here feels excited about the idea of building in public? Yeah. Let's start it. Well, the first thing I recommend, people ask me this question like, oh, how do I start a YouTube channel? The first thing I recommend is actually not start from the content, but start from your audience. And maybe not everyone does it that way, but that's what I personally recommend. And what I mean by that is, you could make a YouTube video, but maybe no one will watch it. One person will watch it. That's kind of sad. And I don't think it's particularly good for the algorithm either. So what you want to do is you want to find your audience. And how do you find that? All you need, in my opinion, is 20 engaged followers. You could have like 1,000 followers on LinkedIn, 1,000 followers on Twitter, whatever. But it doesn't really matter. What matters is how many engaged followers do you have? How many people actually react to what you post. And the way you can do that is basically networking. In my opinion, the best way to get a job in tech in 2024 is building in public, but networking comes, basically close second. And building in public basically brings you to the next level. With networking, by going to conferences or meetups or whatever, then you get to meet people and you get to have your 20 engaged followers. If you think about it that way, it's not that hard. You just need to talk to 20 people basically, or 40 people, however many it takes. And then once you have that, you might say, okay, how do I find an idea? In my opinion, a good way to do that is whenever you wanna complain about something, build a solution for it. So I think a good example of this is Toki. I'm not sure if he's here. Perfect. So basically, his story is, you wanted to basically get a job in tech, the same kind of story. And if I remember correctly, you wanted to sort of make connections, get referrals, but you didn't have a lot of connections in tech. So you decided to build a community called Vancouver.dev. And that way, basically, instead of complaining about this problem of not having like a lot of communities in Vancouver, he built it himself and he shared it. Again, it's not tech, it's not necessarily code, it's not necessarily content per se, but he chose to do community. And that's been working out for him. And you might say, oh, what if I don't have an idea? You don't have to have an idea necessarily. You can also contribute to other people's ideas. So that might be, helping out with other people's community, content, code, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And one question that I get, often when I talk about this is, okay, how do I dive into, a large code base? Because one good way to go about it is open source. And who here is familiar with open source? everyone, hopefully. Anyway, I'm just gonna assume everyone's familiar with the concept of open source here. And open source is a really good way to kind of do building in public if you don't have an idea yet, because then you can contribute to other people's ideas. It actually solves a real problem, and you get to basically practice in a realistic engineering situation. And the way you can dive into a large code base for that, whether it's actually closed or open source, is 4 steps I recommend just quickly. First of all, read the README issues, recent PRs. Just check out what's going on. You can check the culture and everything. And second, set it up locally and make sure it works locally. If it doesn't, or if you have any trouble setting it up, then fix the README. And third, find UI texts that you want to change, and then change it slightly. So the way you can typically do it is, you can search for that exact UI text. So that might be like Command-Shift-F, I think, in VS Code, or use GitHub for that, whatever you want to use there. And find that text, change it slightly, make sure the change is reflected on the UI that you see. And then the fourth one is, it's more of not to do, but don't send a big PR before having a prior discussion. So have a little bit of discussion about the direction you want to take of like solving a particular issue or whatever, and then make sure you're going in the right direction, and then start coding. Okay, and I want to close this talk with a couple things. One of them being the importance of consistency. So another question I get often is, oh, I already have a job. How do I, create time for myself to work on these things? Well, I would say just spend a little bit of time every day. It could be, morning time. It could be evening time. Whenever it is, be consistent about it. You don't have to spend like 10 hours every day. I would say if 30 minutes a day is what you can manage, do that. If 2 hours a week is what you can manage, do that. Consistency over intensity. And I'm gonna close this talk with the most important lesson. And actually, this is my favorite part of this talk because it kind of confuses people in a way. What do you think that might be? The most important lesson, besides consistency.
Youth.
That's kind of in the right direction.
Authenticity.
That's definitely part of it.
Never giving up.
Cobalt. Yes, right. Cobalt.
Cobalt for the Twitch chat.
Yeah. Yes, Cobalt for the Twitch chat. Or Golang, whichever you like.
Thank you for mentioning it.
Yes. So the most important lesson, in my opinion, is your energy. And when I say energy, I don't mean like willful, like mysterious thing. It's just the physical and emotional, psychological energy that you have. And when you have energy, it basically becomes easier to be consistent. And a quick question for everyone: how do you get energy? Sleep.
I guess that.
Someone says sleep.
I was gonna say being inspired by things. Like I think that if you have a certain amount of output that you're expecting from yourself, you need equally as much input. It can be like books, it can be podcasts, it can just be like hearing old poems or something like that, and like reflecting on your own thoughts on things.
I like it.
That's my opinion.
Basically, input before output.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. I might kind of incorporate that, but for this one, I have something else.
Wrong?
Not wrong, maybe even more right.
Yes, and.
Yes, and. How do you keep up your energy? How do you stay energetic? And a quick story, I gave a bird.
Are you gonna say exercise?
Exercise. Okay, that's one. Actually, I have 4 things in mind. We got 1. Food. Okay. 2.
Rest.
Sleep.
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, coffee could be a 4th one. But there's the last one.
Supplement.
Not having a lot of stress. So very simple stuff. I think stuff we talked about is good too, but foundational stuff first, in my opinion. Sleep well, eat well, not having a lot of stress, and exercise. And when I say this, you might think it's kind of weird. I mean, that's just like a common sense thing. And it is common sense. Everyone knows it, but almost no one does all of them. You know, some people might do two out of them, 3 out of them, but I would bet maybe even only 1 or 2 people do it consistently here, all of them. Maybe, we'll see. But, you know, ask that question to yourself. So basically, when you have energy in your life and when you're consistent with it, and when you take a lot of inspiration, you're stealing your idea, then it's going to be easier for you to be consistent. When you're consistent, you'll be able to build in public. When you're consistently building in public, you get all the benefits from building in public. And two quick action things that I want to recommend. Call to action is, first of all, feel free to follow us on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, CS Dojo Vancouver. This is where we post a lot of pictures and stuff like that. And join our Discord. If you go to our Luma page, you should be able to find a link for that. So thank you so much.
From my couchy spot. All right, my laptop died. Sorry, YouTube and Twitch chat. Now you only get me here, so, which is good because we're actually about to wrap up. But first off, do we have any questions for YK? I'll start with you since you have Kid up first.
How do you manage like posting on social media? Or like, do you block off certain times a day to do it, or do you have like a backlog of like ideas that you could post about?
Right.
I find it hard to like come up with ideas. There's just like so much.
Right, so I think different people do it differently, but I like to just post whenever I think of something. But that's just me, and you know, so I know some people like to have backlogs. Some people like to have a schedule. Bash, I'm not sure about you, but you know, do what works for you, basically.
Yeah, schedules are good if you can maintain it. I think sometimes you just gotta like suck it up and just do it. I think it's easy to overthink, especially content stuff, because you're like, sometimes you'll be like, oh, you know, what if this like rubs someone the wrong way or whatever, and it just just post it. You're allowed to have opinions. You're allowed to be wrong. Just do it anyway. Did I hijack you? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Do you want a mic? Do you want to come up?
No.
What's the point of Twitter?
Whoa, I feel attacked.
Wow.
I can speak on that.
No. You want to answer?
I'm mostly joking.
No, it's just not part of my generation.
Now I feel more attacked. Now sure. I can answer. You can answer. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, so you use whatever platform you want to use. I think for getting opportunities, you know, LinkedIn's probably honestly the best.
Mhm.
But you know, YouTube, Twitch obviously work too. Twitter, in my opinion, it's a way to test content. Like, you know, test different ideas because it's really quick. You get feedback right away, and then you can basically post the best stuff on different platforms if you want.
Yeah, my Twitter feeds into my other things, so I play with ideas. If you see my Twitter, you can actually see that I've play tested conference talks on it, and based on the reactions I got, I might have done that talk, which is the last one I did actually. And sometimes it also lets me figure out, like, okay, I'm going to be building something on my live stream next month or next week or whatever. What do people actually want to see? It gives me, like you said, that very tight feedback loop. But also to the point that you were saying, and then I'll give you back Q&A. But also to that point.
You take it. I can just sit here.
Oh no, I've been emceeing. People can ask me questions later. They'll find me with my flower jacket. But different platforms have different purposes, but it's also, I was saying this in the YouTube chat before my laptop died, it's also a lot about where you're the most comfortable. Yeah, sure. Because wherever you're the most comfortable is where you're personally going to shine the most. So if you're in an area that you enjoy working in, like I love Twitch chat because I love being able to sit there and be like, oh, we typoed this, what's up Twitch chat, this is funny, right? And they'll be like, yeah, it is funny. I'm like, that's cool. But yeah, you just go wherever you feel the most comfortable because that's where you're going to get the best reactions too. There's other things to look for, like how many people are there and what the reach is going to be, but the trade-off is if you don't enjoy it, it probably won't go as well.
That's really insightful.
So I'm going to give this back to you now. It's my short tangent.
All right. I think we have like a whole panel now. So if you have questions for everyone else, go ahead. I don't have to talk.
I just wanted to add one thing about the Twitter thing. At least this year, I've only been Twitter like actively this year a lot. I feel like on a real-time level, learning is a massive deal on Twitter right now. There's a lot of knowledge, like Discord servers are a big one, but you can never be in any of the good ones unless you know about them. But on Twitter, you can learn a lot about like trends and just knowledge in general, because all the very smart people are posting all the time. So.
Okay, this is really true. I lied. I have one more thing. The coolest thing to me about Twitter was that I could like literally DM somebody whose talk I watched and I never got a chance to talk to about, and they replied. You'd be like, whoa, I love your talk. It was amazing. Oh my God, I'm fangirling in their DMs and they're definitely never going to see this. And they're actually like, oh, that's so cool. Do you want to come meet me here and I'll give you a signed copy of my book? Like stuff like that. There's just a type of access that we don't always have on other platforms. But yeah, you can find it other places too. Just that's my cool story. You have other questions?
Actually, one thing I want to share about Twitter is when I'm here, people always ask me, oh, what's your LinkedIn? And when I'm in San Francisco, people ask me, what's your Twitter? So it depends on the location, probably depends on your, like age range and, other things like that.
What's your ex just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Oh, no. What's your ex? Yeah.
Do we have any more questions for us? So we've got a lot of questions. Okay, you had your hand up earlier, so I'm going to come to you first.
So I have a question to YK. I was wondering, I think your talk is very informative. This question might be a little personal. Like, how do you discover your passion for like social content creation? That's question number one. And question number two is, it seems like you have so many things on your plate. You do content creation, full-time job. You build a community everywhere you are. So how does the time management prioritization work for you personally?
Right, I guess they're for me, so I'll need to answer them. So the first question was, how do I find passion? And I think some of the panelists might be able to speak on that, but for me, it's all about exploring different things, and I guess it's kind of a double-edged sword because I like exploring. People could call me like, oh, you're not focused, but it works for me because by exploring, you get to try different things and you get to see what you like, basically. And talking to different people, to me, helps a lot. And then the time management thing, I try to have a consistent schedule, basically, a consistent sleep schedule, and then I try not to overthink. I think that's the other thing. Like when I write a tweet or when I write a post, I think I write it like pretty fast because I don't think that much. I basically write it, ask ChatGPT to proofread it, and that's pretty much my process.
So I want to explore the passion thing, and I want to piggyback off YK. A lot of times you find your passion by exploring. So I became a content creator for my business. It was like, hey, how do I get my business out there? Let me create content. And then eventually you just are forced to do things to just get your name out there. Like I started live streaming. And if you asked me years ago, I'd be like, why do people watch live streams? And now I do it. Now I kind of get it. So I tell people that there are 4 types of skills. There are skills you're good at that you like doing. There are skills you're good at that you don't like doing. There are skills you're bad at that you like doing, and things you're bad at that you don't like doing. So a lot of times the passions, they stem from the things you're good at that you like doing. The things you're good at that you don't like doing, they're your burnout skills. And oftentimes if your parents say, oh, you're good in math, you should become this. You're good in biology, you should become a doctor. But oftentimes they can be your burnout skills. And so you really have to find the balance of what can you get paid for that you like doing. And the passion is also something that you would do something for almost no money. Like there are things that I would just do in my free time. And if you can find a way to incorporate into your lifestyle, into your journey, and support it, that's how you it's more that you discover your passion. And then you chisel it and you build it and you keep doing it and you fall in love with it. And the other thing is sometimes things change. So at different points in your life, your priorities change. So it can, but you always gain by going deeper into your passions. And I don't, I used to be an actuary and I quit my job to do something else. And I don't regret it at all. So I would say explore yourself, do stuff outside of work. What are the things that you're doing? And you just learn and you meet people, and then through meeting people, you'll discover that, and then you'll just find out the things that you go towards and the things that you shy away from.
good. You covered it well.
Okay.
Well said.
Quickly going back to the time management thing. One thing I should mention is getting help and realizing that you can't do everything yourself. It's okay to get someone's help. Like, you know, with the San Francisco event, I got a lot of help, but I was doing everything. I mean, not everything, but a lot. I was speaking, I was organizing, I was moderating a panel, and I was, you know, doing a lot of basically getting speakers, you know, onboarding, everything, marketing. So that was really hard. But this one has been easier in a way because of all the help I've been getting, you know, from Nera, Tony, Kaho, Tasif, Jackie, and everyone else. So that's been, you know, that's a huge part of it. One more question?
I think maybe last question.
Is there actually any validity in building an actual project in public as opposed to promoting other stuff that you're doing online to gain readership and to get a network going? Have you ever built a project and shared that process with other people?
Right. So like I said, you know, the Kaguya, the intelligent coding assistant that I mentioned, that's what I did. And, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually productionize it, but, you know, people have actually paid for it. And, you know, like I said, I've been getting a lot of like sort of other, you know, connection benefits too.
So there's validity in doing something like that?
Definitely.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people who test projects, and even if the project doesn't succeed, what happens is people are attracted to people who are passionate. And you have to be passionate to do a project and spend your free time. And you have to be vulnerable, and people respect that. Like, hey, this person's doing something. And you never know. I've seen some people, they built things, they pass it on to other people. It gets you good conversations. If you're talking to other people, you know, people talk about their job, but it's exciting. They're like, hey, I'm building this thing on my free time. I remember one person did a product, they were doing an AI version of their mom. And it was like such a cool product. And they would like, so she could ask it questions and it would answer like her mom. And she would go into, like, she's a product manager, she would go into the data sets, how she recorded voice calls. And it's just interesting. Like, you know, a lot of people in the crowd are like, oh, what's that? And again, it's not like she was going to publish it, but it was just a cool conversation starter. So I think it's always good to have those projects because you can relate to people. People can ask you, people will give you invite, and people will want to have conversations with you.
Right. I feel like I need to provide some context on that. Like the way you phrased it, it sounded really funny. You say AI version of her mom. That's true. I think it was her deceased mom.
No, she's alive. Her mom's alive.
Wait. Okay. I think we're thinking
maybe it's
talking about the same
different
person
projects.
or
Yeah. Different projects. Anyway, one last thing I want to say. Join our Discord and feel free to thank our sponsors, Spiro and Propel Data there personally if you want. And Jackie, do you want to say something?
Oh yeah, I've got a whole list. Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
CS Dojo Discord?
Yeah.
So,
csdojo.io.
csdojo.io.
All right, so first off, we have, I believe, just under 10 minutes left. So I wanted to start a recap by giving each of the speakers an opportunity to say their favorite takeaway they've learned today.
Okay.
I know, surprise, I'm putting all of you on the spot as a goodbye.
Thank you.
Who wants to start?
I guess that was not enough. Yeah.
All right, sure. What's your favorite takeaway today?
Well, my friend Bash taught me that getting inspired is important. Reading and learning are also important. I don't know if Twitch is listening, but that's my takeaway.
And Twitch chat.
Yeah.
I'll go next to give you a couple more seconds to think. I think for me, one of the nice things is being able to see our in-person events coming to life again, because I used to love going to meetups and conferences, and it's how I actually got started public speaking, because I am a very anxious human, super anxious, and it took a lot of time to kind of get into that. So my takeaway today is that seeing everyone coming here, both in person as well as on our YouTube and our Twitch chats, is really nice, and I hope we can keep building this together. I know YK wants to keep building the Vancouver community up, and that's really something I hope I can see us continue doing. So I'll give my mic for the next takeaway.
Yeah, so I came from New York City to over here, first time in Vancouver, and I learned that Vancouver is a very nice and friendly city. I wish I could stay here longer, but I'll definitely be back. A lot of warm faces and just really like the crowd and the vibe. So thank you for treating me well.
Sorry, what is takeaway?
What do you learn? What do you
Oh, what I
Something you
learned.
learned that you want to leave with today.
Okay, thank you.
Something you
Many
learned.
things I've learned.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, how can I say, like I know already showing myself in the networking a lot, and this is like one of the, how can I say, the biggest networking that I ever joined, and now I got some tips from you, too. I'm very shy, so today I will find somebody who's sitting in a corner and we'll talk.
I'll do it for you, don't worry.
Great. So thank you so much.
My takeaway, maybe a literal takeaway. I'd love to take away that food because it's so good. Thank you, sponsors, for the food. It was really good.
Wait,
Food is important.
Who are the sponsors?
Propel and Spiro. Thank you.
I think I have two takeaways. The first one is not really a takeaway, I will figure it out, but saying thank you to YK. Actually, we joined the meetup with him and other people that were interested. We just talked a bit, we had the chance to actually connect a little bit with him. But I don't know why, or I still a question, like he saw something, especially talking about myself, like he just wanted to invite me to talk here. I really feel grateful about it. It has been years since I don't do this thing, and it humbles me a bit in a way that I feel so confident at work behind the computer. Was once I was putting the information all together in a presentation and putting myself in front of all of you, yeah, it felt different. It felt like a challenge. Again, like I don't know, when I was starting something new. So also the second thing is, I just don't want to pronounce your name correctly.
Oh, Jonaed?
Jonaed.
Jonaed. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
It's a tough name.
Jonaed.
It's a tough name.
Yeah.
I struggle with it too.
I have a strong opinion about networking. I haven't seen a strong influence in my career. Having mostly, I'm not Canadian, I'm from Mexico. I have built my career literally by effort. So, but right now in his speech, I actually found a lot of things that I think I can resonate with. So that's a good takeaway, because I do believe that these kind of things have taught me that networking definitely can make an impact. Right now I don't see maybe in connections. I think it's in my personal learning, because doing a presentation is tough, and changing your mind is also tough. So those two things are kind of changing me right now. So yeah, those are the things.
So with that said, I have two things left for you, and then I'll pass it to YK if he has anything left after. But first off, I wanted to take a minute to thank our sponsors. I wanted to take a minute to thank the organizers, as well as the volunteers who all made this happen. And in addition to them, we have our speakers, thank you. And finally, all of you. Events like this don't happen without an audience, right? So thank you to people on YouTube, on Twitch, and in person here with us today. So the last thing I have is our networking dinner info. So we'll be doing the dinner. We're going to leave, I believe, at 8:15. I'm scrolling up to find the location. And we're going to be going to... What? 8. Leaving at 8. Okay, we're leaving at 8. That's fine. We're leaving at 8, and we're going to be walking over to Original Joe's. And a couple of us, I think my YK and myself are the two that volunteered, will be here to walk with you. So making sure nobody gets lost and going over together. So I think that's everything I have for today.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I'll...
First of all, shout out to Jackie. Great job. I felt like someone needed to do that. And if I recognize a lot of your faces. I met some of you through meetups, some of you through Twitter online, some of you through different conferences. And it's awesome to see the community coming together. You know, my goal, like I was said, was to make Vancouver one of the best tech cities in the world. And I think we can make it happen together. Who agrees with me? As long as Jack is there, we'll be fine. So thanks everyone for joining us again. Join us on Discord, join us on LinkedIn, and see you next time. Wait, one more thing? Oh, good photo.
Maybe everyone can sit there so we can take it from here.
I don't need to. You can coordinate.
Just come sit over here.
Yeah. Everyone just stay.
I was like, oh yeah, they're here.
So we just need to gather
Am I
together
below the camera?
You
are.
Right, so everyone stay where they are?
Yeah, you just stay
What do
there.
I do?
People we have in the back, just can you please come closer?
Oh yeah, we can end the stream. Yep.
Thanks for joining.
Okay,
Bye YouTube. You owe me a Pepsi. I said you owe me a Pepsi.
Yeah.
Pepsi?
Jake, you know you owe me a drink?
Oh, no, I don't.
It's a joke, it's a joke.
No, I didn't know. That's okay.
Oh really?
Is that a Canadian?
I don't know, is it? I don't know, I'm from a small Canadian town. A lot of the weird things we do as kids did not seem to happen.
It's a great event.
Yeah.